What is up, my people? It's your boy, former NFL and AFL defensive back, Eric Crocker. And today we're discussing a few different things. We got NFL rookie mini camps going on around the league right now. I'm going to give my experience on rookie mini camp. And do any of these guys have a chance to really kind of make the roster from that tryout? You got Steven Montez, quarterback from the XFL that they brought in. Does he have a shot to potentially be another just camp arm? And just, hey, man, give me an opportunity. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the greatest thrower in San Francisco 49ers history, Sam Darnold. That's an interesting one from our guy, Matt Mayoko, and much, much more right here, man. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and thank you. So I want to start with saying, how about those mother effing Lakers? How about those Lakers? Hey, I heard all the listen. I heard all the stuff, and then the Lakers got destroyed game two, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to get excited, but basketball, we know. Game one happens, it's a filling out process. Next team's gonna make an adjustment. Boom. Warriors making adjustments. They're terrific at that. Then it was like, all right, Lakers, it's on you to make some adjustments, and the Lakers made adjustments. And I think now, like, the series has now officially like really started. You both have kind of a feel for how teams are going to try to attack you, who's going to really just play the better basketball. You know what? And I could very well see it. I see in the chat like, oh, it's going to be 2-2. I listen, I could very well see that, man. The Warriors, great organization. But there's been something going on, and I want to kind of tie this to life, right? Because I've been talking to my buddy about it. And we're watching the Lakers game, and I'm watching it. And everything, the way that I see things, like just through the lens of Eric Crocker, control what you can control. Like I'm not gonna stress and worry about what like this stuff has going on. And I'm always gonna look at how can I improve? Like, how can I get better? Like, that's just the way that I view life in general. I do not make excuses for myself. So when I see everybody talking about the refs, and I get it, the calls, the amount or the free throws and everything, there's a big discrepancy between Lakers free throw shooting, Warriors free throw shooting. That definitely helps the Lakers. I get it. But is nobody going to look at why is it being called like this? Or why are they getting these calls? Again, that's just where my mind goes. All right. And if I have a bad month at the gym, and for those of you who know, I own my own gym. If I have a bad month at my gym, I don't look, oh, well, these people got this going. No, Croc, like, what can you be doing better? What are you doing wrong? How can you improve? Regardless of whatever else, like, is going on. All right, oh, this other gym, but they did this. No, I don't care. What can I do? And when I watch the Warriors and I watch the Lakers and I look at how the Lakers, #1 defense in the NBA, since the trade deadline and all that, right? They don't get called from any fouls. Why? Nobody's looking at why. They look at it and they want to make excuses. That's people's issues in life. Everybody make excuses for it. And when I was down and I was broke, I could have made all the excuses. And, well, I'm down and I'm broke because, well, I got cut from the Jets, and then this happened, and then my dad died, and then this. I can make all the excuses in the world. It don't make a difference. But instead, what do I do? I mean, all right, what can I do? And I'm going to tell you what the Warriors could do. Stop reaching. Stop playing lazy defense. There was a steal, right? And it was Steph Curry. Steph Curry comes in, and you got Austin Reeves on the drive. And Curry rips him. Boom, knocks the ball out. Ball goes out of bounds. You see Austin Reeves kind of throw his arms in the air, maybe trying to draw a foul, whatever, right? Of course, they're not sure what they do in the NBA. But no foul was called, but the ball goes out. My issue with it, even though it was clean, it was very lazy. Why are you not trying to contest the shot? Why are you swiping at the hands? Because what happens when you swipe at the hands? It can be, you never know how the ref is going to see it. The ref might see it as, oh, he slapped him on the wrist. And next thing you know, Austin Reeves is at the free throw line. And what, you going to blame the ref? Because you play lazy defense? I watched Klay Thompson. All right, and look, I like these guys. I know I mess with Warrior fans, but now we talking about like real life because I'm watching it. I'm like, I see why there's a lot of people that aren't where they want to be in life. And this is why. You make too many excuses. I watched Klay Thompson, and He's shooting. You got LeBron James doing a fadeaway shot, right? LeBron shoots the fadeaway. He actually makes the shot. What does Klay Thompson do? Does he go put his hand up? Does Klay Thompson contest the shot? Does he put it in Bron's face like this to try to like, okay, let me like kind of get in his vision and contest the shot? No. What does he do? He swipes at his hands. And what's gonna happen? Boom, you slap him on the wrist, he goes to the line. Like there's a lot of lazy defense going on with the Warriors as opposed to the Lakers. Now let's talk about the Lakers. I watched Jordan Love. I watched uh not Jordan Love, excuse me. Jordan, I won't call him Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Poole. All right. All you light skinned dudes. Jordan Love, Jordan Clarkson, Jordan Poole. All right. Poole's first name is Jordan, right? I'm tripping. Anyways, Poole. All right. I watched Poole go by LeBron James to the cup, right? Put him on his back. And what did LeBron do? Did LeBron swipe at his hands? All right. Did LeBron, you know, try to foul him, whatever? Man, he got to step on me. I'm not in position to contest the shot, right? The Lakers are really good shot blockers. I'm not. So I let him score. Let him score. Steph Curry, go by. And watch how they defend Steph Curry. All right, they're going to run him off the three-point line. They're going to try to, right? And he goes by him. And then what does Steph Curry do? Goes up for the layup. And watch how we're not gonna swipe at his hands. We're not gonna do anything. So again, this is not me saying that the Lakers are so much better than the Warriors. Man, I think, Warriors, they're a terrific organization. They got chemistry. They'll figure out, whatever to make this game 4 legit. Maybe they win, whatever. But the excuses, and a lot of y'all make excuses in your everyday life. And I bet you can look at that and say, you know what? I'm not where I want to be, but it's because of this person. No, it's because of you. So control what you can control. Warriors, stop reaching. And then you won't have such a big discrepancy. Stop grabbing guys' ankles when you're on the ground. Stop cursing out referees and getting technical fouls. Like, that's what they're like. It was a very undisciplined game. And then the crazy part about it is, when you talk about the Warriors, okay, they lost to the Lakers. They'll tell you, oh, we've been terrible on the road all year. Oh, this is on brand with the Warriors. They've been bad on the road all year. So you've been bad on the road all year, but you want to make excuses as to why you got blown out and blame the refs, even though you've been bad all year on the road and been undisciplined on the road all year. I had to get that off my chest. I had to get that off my chest because it's really wild to me. Now, Warriors might go and beat the Lakers' heads in tonight. All right, and we'll see. But the excuses, what can you do? They got to figure that out. They got really flustered last game. I watched that. All right. And here we go. LeBron falls over when a 180-pound point guard runs into him. Okay. Who cares? Like, who cares? LeBron flop. Everybody in basketball flops. Everybody. So why are we worried about, oh, this guy flopped, or look, he's trying to draw a foul? I don't care. They all try to draw fouls. Everybody. That's part of the NBA. That is part of the NBA right now. They will try to draw fouls. Everybody. It's like, again, don't worry about LeBron trying to sell a foul on a 180-pound point guard. Worry about your 180-pound point guard. Hey, man, don't play lazy defense. Control what you can control. That's what I live by in life. Control what you can control. Let's talk about Niners. Don't worry about the NBA. Hey, man, the NBA playoffs are going on right now. So we're going to talk about some NBA. Now, we're going to get to the Niners right now. I'm messing around, but it's relevant. All right. I have done some breakdowns. Make sure you guys check those out. We got a breakdown on Jair Tig Brown, safety out of Penn State. Nice, good, 15 minutes or so breakdown on strengths, weaknesses, things to be worried about or not worried about. There's an article by Matt Barrows talking with Scott McLuhan. That was a really good read. I checked that out. Some of the stuff kind of aligns with what I was thinking. You also have a breakdown on my YouTube on we got Darrell Luter. cornerback out of South Alabama. Make sure y'all check that out. And then we have a breakdown on Bell. All right, we got one on Bell, the receiver out of Michigan. So make sure you guys check all that out. Hit the like button, subscribe button, all that good stuff. All right, all right. Appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now. Control what you can control. That should be the title of this. Like, we're not making excuses. The refs gonna be refs. If you worry about the refs, I got out of hand with the refs and let them kind of affect me emotionally. 49ers versus Eagles, where I'm just like, what are the refs doing? And then it's like, Crock, why are you worried about the refs? The refs all stink. They all suck. All refs suck. You can't control that. Play good football. Your quarterback don't call play where your quarterback's arm, elbow is going to get ripped off. Control what you can control. Crying about the refs. You lost. All right. We got Gammon in the chat. Gammon says, you destroyed Ronnie Bell. I got the impression that he won't even make the practice squad. So I try not to destroy Ronnie Bell. What I try to do is just paint the picture of like just what I'm seeing and what his strengths and weaknesses are. And then I don't watch highlights, so I try to go with what is consistent with his game. All right. And I watch 3 games. Typically, or I might watch 4. All right, but typically 3-4 games or so, you just have a really good idea of who somebody is. The only time that can be kind of thrown off is if the player was hurt and you just didn't know he was hurt. All right. So if he is dealing with a high ankle sprain, he's trying to play on that, and I didn't know, then it's like, oh, well, of course, Crock, like, that's why he was a little down, man. But there will be people that say, oh, you got to go watch this game. You got to go watch that game. Like, no, I'm going to watch the games that I watch. If he had an outlier game, I don't care. That's not what I'm worried about. I just want to see what his strengths and weaknesses are. How does he win? And when I watch Ronnie Bell, and again, you can watch the full breakdown in the YouTube channel, but when I watch Ronnie Bell, I saw someone who ideally you would probably like to play in the slot. I think for someone who is not the biggest of guys, he's not really small, but 6 foot, 187 pounds or whatever it is, he takes a lot of pride in blocking and a lot of effort. And that lets you know right there, like, blocking, a lot of it's about effort. Most receivers, they just don't want to block, but he definitely takes pride in that. And I think he really enjoys that. And I think Kyle Shanahan really likes that. Crazy 3-cone that he did at his pro day. Obviously ran a 4.54. And I think when I watch him, people guard him. They guard him like he runs a 4.6. That was what it felt like. So from off coverage, it was like they weren't really worried about him running by him. Now, he got the safety from TCU a couple times in that game, but just overall, in general, what I saw that was consistent. A lot of guys are kind of sitting on his routes, not really afraid of him running vertical on him on a consistent basis. And then at the line of scrimmage, for somebody who is as twitched up as he is, I think he has good twitch and steadiness. He got manhandled probably a few too many times for my liking in such a short period of time. So those are all things that you can work on. But I think the top end speed kind of puts a cap on some of the things. If he can really learn to play with more high end controlled speed at a 4.54, then, man, we can see a much better version of what he is right now. But ideally, I would say you probably want to put him in the slot where he faces, more off coverage, more favorable matchups, linebackers, safeties, some nickel guys, being able to play in space, sit down in zones, things like that. And I'd say right now for him, and we got Gammon talking about making a practice squad, he's got to be good on special teams. I think he has that mindset. So I think there is a path to him making the roster, but it would likely be an uphill battle for him. And I don't know, as a receiver, right, if you're looking at it like, hey, man, I just want this cold receiver. And I saw some people say like Dante Pettis. And it's like Dante Pettis was a better prospect as a receiver. What you don't really know sometimes with a lot of these guys is just their mindset. And maybe they should have known about Pettis a little bit more mentally, how he can handle things. And you find out a lot of that at the NFL level, man. It's grueling mentally. It's grueling mentally, the NFL. I mean, and I'm gonna get into rookie minicamp and my experience there. But I just remember from the time I got to the Jets, it's like just guys just getting cut left and right. And it's just like, dang, it's just on your mind all the time. Like, damn, am I going to be next? Am I going to be next? I saw this clip of there's this YouTuber. His name is Destroying. And Destroying, he put a video out there and he was like, man, they asked him about the NFL and stuff like that. He was a kicker. He was at UCF. And back then, you couldn't really make money in college. So he was at UCF. He had to make a decision. Do I want to stay kicking at UCF, or do I want to continue with this YouTube sensation stuff that's really growing? He's like, man, forget UCF and kicking. I'm going to do this, YouTube thing. And this YouTube, I mean, he has exploded. And anybody that knows who destroying it, I mean, he's everywhere. In the sense of the one-on-ones, all this stuff, he's created his own niche, and he's huge. And then I saw him talk about how, you know, if he were to go to the NFL right now, right, and that's obviously if the NFL team wants him, but if he were to go sign with an NFL team right now, he'd make the minimum for a rookie. And he's like, like that would be a pay cut for me. So why would I go and sign for, five, 600,000? And I'll be making less than what I make streaming. And there were a lot of people that were like, oh, well, it's about the dream. Oh, you're just in it for the money. You're just blah, 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 blah. You care about the money more than the dream and playing in the NFL. And it's like, bro, once you get to the NFL, you realize this is a business. They do not care about you. They do not care about you. The NFL, you're a number. And unless they invested a lot of money in you, they don't care. And then you got to be somewhere. You got this and that. I was approached with a scouting position for the Atlanta Falcons. And I put in my resume and everything like that. They chose a couple other people over me. But I remember people were like, man, are you going to try again? And it's like, no, I make money streaming and training athletes. I get to do what I want from my house. Like my house is right here and I'm looking at my gym. You can see my gym. All right. So it's like, no, I got a great setup. I can leave and travel whenever the hell I want. Why would I want to go and take a pay cut? Whatever scouts make is coming in is going to be less than what I make right now. And I enjoy this, right? Clearly, I break down film, I do all that. I enjoy doing that stuff. But I'm not going to go and be on the road and away from my family and can't see this and then make less money. I'm driving. No, I'm going to enjoy my life. And I saw, and people in the chat were like, oh, you like, no, dude's enjoying life. You don't got to make it to the NFL to enjoy life. All right. So, anyways, let's get on to rookie minicamp. We're talking about a lot here this morning, man. We're talking about a lot here this morning. Can a strong CB pancake a wide receiver in 5 yards? Yes. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Matter of fact, I watched Darrell Luter Jr. pretty much pancake a tight end. And go watch that video. Hey, y'all running the numbers up, man. The Jair Brown one is what? Over 6,000, 7,000 views. The Luter one is what? Closing in on 5,000 views, man. Y'all running those up. Appreciate that. But Luter, I mean, just playing catch technique, which is extremely difficult. It's difficult to just play in space versus a receiver and just be like, okay, I'm just going to stand my ground. And he did that. And he, boom, pressed a big tight end to the ground. So you can. Now, you can't grab them and throw them to the ground. If you're going to jam somebody to the ground, you just got to get a good shot to where maybe it knocks them off balance or something. But if you like grab them and sling them to the ground like a pancake, like an offensive lineman would do, they're for sure. They're throwing a holding. They're throwing a holding flag. All right. NFL rookie minicamp. All right. And right now, the 49ers, they're bringing in Steven Montez he's in the XFL right now, but he's played, some years in the NFL. He was with the Washington football team for an entire year on the active roster. He also was with the Detroit Lions 2021, 2022. It looks like more of a practice squad type of guy. All right. And then now he's with the Seattle Sea Dragons in the XFL. And big quarterback, 6'5", 235 pounds, big arm from Oakland, California. Shout out to my NorCal guys. I pause because the people I know from NorCal or from Oakland, they don't say they're from NorCal. I'm from the Bay or I'm from Oakland. Like, they don't say NorCal. So I'm from Stockton. I'd be like, oh, I'm from Northern California. The Bay Area people is like, I'm from the Bay or I'm from where they're from. Like, I'm from Oakland. All right. So that's why I kind of paused on that. But does he have a chance? And you look at the 49ers roster right now, and you look at the quarterbacks that they have. They brought in Brandon Allen, right? Quarterback, longtime backup. They obviously have Brock Purdy. He's hurt. Trey Lance, Sam Darnold. So when you look at it right now, you got 4 quarterbacks, 3 healthy arms, and then you bring in Montez. I could see potentially they have a 4th arm in camp, but I highly doubt it. And a lot of times, in rookie minicamp, it's extremely hard as a tryout guy to make team. Now, if you go into it with the contract, which like for me, when I was with the New York Jets and rookie minicamp came, one I had already been there because I signed in like February, and so then once rookie minicamp came, I was kind of ahead of a lot of the other guys that were actual rookies coming in, but I was under contract. All right, there are a lot of guys that come on a tryout basis, and really the thing that they want to see the most is just can we just field enough guys to where we can see our rookies? Like that's what they want to see. So the 49ers right now, they got a bunch of these rookies coming in, and they want to get their rookies kind of caught up to speed and use just anybody and everybody that can potentially just help them field a roster on the offense and defense and kind of be like more too deep. So tryout guys, it is very, very, very difficult for those guys to have a legit opportunity. Now, you can't get cut. And we saw this some years ago. The 49ers signed an undrafted rookie free agent. Was he out of Baylor? They gave him a lot of money. Cannon, I believe his name was. And after rookie minicamp, they cut him. And they gave him a lot of money to sign. Like, they gave him a good signing bonus. I think there's some offsets or whatever. But they gave him a good signing bonus. Not going to happen. Cut you. So you can't be under contract and they still cut you. And one thing about being under contract, y'all, you're only guaranteed what you're guaranteed. So, and that's no matter how much money you make. So if you're Debo Samuel and you're guaranteed 70 something million or whatever it is, then boom, he's going to get that 70 million, whatever it is, right? But if you are Eric Crocker and you sign for, 15,000 signing bonus and then you ain't got no guarantees, they cut you. All you get is that 15,000. That's it. All right. So a lot of these guys, and that's why like NFL players, bro, they ain't got as much money, I don't think, as people think. They don't. Not a lot of these guys. But as far as rookie minicamp, it's hard. And I saw some talented dudes. I remember just seeing some guys who were like, okay, that guy can play, that guy can play. And it's like, he has no chance because they just don't care. So even with Steven Montez coming from the XFL, it's kind of cool to see just get somewhat of opportunity. And if you just light it up, they definitely can keep you. And I think that's what they did. They signed somebody from that early on. Gosh, there was like two guys for the 49ers that like made it through that tryout. But it is very, very rare. It is very rare. So Montez, I think his chances of making it slim to none. If he just goes out there and just like, hey man, I'm a big quarterback. I'm physically imposing. I'm accurate. I'm making these throws. I can move. 6'5", 235. You're like, you know what? This is kind of intriguing. And maybe we trade away Trey Lance. Listen, I don't know. That's when you could see maybe they end up signing a guy off of a tryout. But for the most part, and we talked about guys that potentially could make it, slim to none. Like your chances of making it from a tryout. Again, this is not guys that's, the undrafted rookie free agents. It's not those guys. There are tryout guys. And their chances, and the XFL quarterback, he's one of those, Steven Montez. Your chances are slim to none. Your chances are slim to none. Here we go in the chat. We got Damon Dickerson. He says, we got 95 plus in here. How many likes? How many? Let's get these numbers up. Let's go. Let's get them up. All right. We got like 97 people watching right now. Get those numbers up. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. One other thing I want to talk about, and then I'll actually put the link in the chat right now for anybody that wants to come on live. All right, is the whole comment on the best thrower. All right, so let's talk about best thrower of football in 49er history. And Matt Mayoko came out and said Sam Darnold might be the best. Listen, being the best thrower of the football does not mean you are the best quarterback, right? That's like Jamarcus Russell just had, man, so much arm talent. It's like, yeah, he did. But did he do anything with the arm talent? So Sam Darnold, and I know people like, they laugh at it, but there's a legit scenario where he actually is the best thrower of a football in 49ers history. And we're talking about a guy who's the number 3 overall pick. We're talking about somebody who does have immense talent. He just sucks at quarterback. He sucks at quarterback. So you can be a great gifted thrower, but it doesn't mean that you're just going to be this great football player. It just doesn't. There's a lot that goes into that. And as of right now, with what we've seen from Sam Darnold, it hasn't been great. But you can put on some clips and just watch certain throws that he's able to make. It should be like, Trey Lance might not make that throw, or oh man, Brock Purdy might not make that throw, or Colin Kaepernick, who might be the most talented thrower in the sense of just arm power throws. I mean, man, I always think of that throw to was it Vernon Davis against Tampa Bay Buccaneers where Davis gave himself a concussion and it was just like on a rope. I mean, just Cap threw that ball on a rope like 50 yards. I feel like it was just like 15 yards off the ground the entire time. And it was just Cap made some special throws. You go back, man, even in those runs and just watch some of the throws. I just remember what like playing against Green Bay. We always talk about the 180 rushing yards and him breaking the record, but he threw some like touchdowns in that game where it was just like, whew, that was a special throw. I mean, a dart to Michael Crabtree. I remember playing against the New England Patriots, just dart to Crabtree, dart to I want to say Delaney Walker, dart to Randy Moss. I mean, Cap could make some throws. He just also could make some throws where you're just like, what was that? And the worst the team got, it was like the accuracy started to kind of be a little bit more scattershot, as they like to say. But when Sam Darnold, most talented throwing quarterback for the 49ers, I could see it. Just not the best. Just not the best. Just not the best. All right, here we go. We got some people coming in right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Shout out to everybody. And I'm going to bring these two guys on at the same time because, I always like to do that with them. So first and foremost, man, we got Shunda Boy coming on. Clap it up for Shunda Boy. And then we also have my guy, Gammon Brown. Gammon, how you doing? How you doing?
Doing great.
There you go. We're going to do like that. So first, we have touched on a lot of stuff this morning. I talked about the Lakers a little bit. Listen, I know there's a lot of Warrior fans out there, and I like to do my thing on Twitter with them and have a little fun. But when we come on here, I don't get like the real talk, right? Like I'm not trolling. I'm not any of that. So when I come out and say like, look, y'all can cry about officiating, but at the end of the day, what are you going to do? And I feel like that's truly like everything in life. Like I can make excuses for whatever, and you can justify whatever. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to change about the way that you are going about things in your life to get the results that ultimately you want? Yeah. And I think with the Warriors, with the way that they play defense, stop playing lazy defense and just swiping and doing those things and bailing the Lakers out. That's what they did. They bailed the Lakers out. Don't play into the refs. Don't cuss the refs out. Don't grab guys by their ankles. Control what you can control. And if you do that, you know what? You get better results. And I think if they come out game 4 and they do that, they'll beat the Lakers' ass. But if they play into the refs again and swipe and play lazy defense and do those things, then you get your ass kicked again. And it's really like that simple. Game 2, they didn't do none of that. And they played extremely well. And the Lakers didn't get all the fouls. And the Warriors blew them out. Of course they did. They played really good basketball. Yeah. They stopped doing all the wild stuff. So yeah, the Lakers didn't get the calls. That really helped them.
One thing I've always
what you can control.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed from every sport that I've ever played is do I have an echo going on?
No, you're good.
Okay. One thing I've noticed from every sport that I've played is that referees will usually they tend to reward the person who's the aggressor or the person who's hustling a lot more. Something too that I noticed, because I am a Sacramento Kings fan, and had Warriors kind of complaining about the Kings were getting a lot more calls than the Warriors were. Well, one of the problems is that the Kings just always attack the paint. Like they're always kind of going there, right? Baseball, tie goes to the runner. You know what I mean? Like as long as you're out there hustling, you're pushing it. Seahawks back in the day, Legion Boom weren't getting that many fouls called on them or penalties because like they were getting aggressive, but that was just they asserted their brand, their play style. Hate it or love it, but if you don't attack the paint, you're not going to get those calls. And that's the thing that I see with Curry. When he goes in the paint, he does some amazing things, but he finesses that ball and really tries to make sure that he gets that shot off. Whereas if you look at Ja Morant or like Monk or somebody like that, when they go in, they're jumping up, they're diving at people. Like you either take this charge or we're both coming down and that ball could go in or not. Also, too, I really respect you, Croc. You know, you're so close to 13K subscribers. The way you're dogging these Warriors fans right now, I'm like, man, I don't know. You might be closer to
I'm
11.
not really dogging them. I don't want to come off as if I'm dogging. It's just like the way I live my life is stop complaining about stuff because it's not going to change anything. Just figure out what you can do to change your circumstances, and that's just how I go about things. So I hope if anybody takes that as dogging anything, then they got to look at themselves in the mirror and how they handle their business.
Oh well, I've seen the Twitter responses, so they're definitely taking it that way. Another interesting thing that you kind of brought up, you said you were talking about Matt Mieko saying that Sam Darnold's arm or whatever was the best thrower of the football that he's seen. But what was another interesting thing that he said back when Trey Lance was drafted? I don't know if you remember this, but a couple weeks into the camp or OTAs or whatever it was, but he was saying this is the best rookie quarterback I've ever seen in the offseason. So it's just I don't.
CJ Beathard, right? And then he also talked about
with Trey Lance. He said that about.
Oh
Trey
yeah,
Lance.
yeah. He did say that with Trey. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So I was just, it's just, and he doesn't really need to say things for shock value. So I wonder, where do you kind of come away with that when he says something like that's the best rookie quarterback he's ever seen, but then the best armed. So what is that as a fan? Where do I go with that information?
I don't think it means anything. I mean, again, we can go back and look at, Brian Hoyer had the best training camp they had seen, right? And it amounted to 0 wins. So like that stuff doesn't matter. Ultimately, you have to just be good when them live bullets flying and make plays, right? Like we saw Brock Purdy do that. Live bullets flying, like I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna let my nuts hang and I'm gonna make some plays. And it doesn't matter about how special of a thrower you are. You got to be able to just make the throws, make the right reads, and play within yourself. I look at Mac Jones, and I think he has a similar skill set, kind of as Brock Purdy. Not as twitched up in the pocket, but he can kind of get out and on the move a little bit and pick up some yards with his legs. I think that's maybe an underrated part of his game a little bit, but it hasn't looked good for him, and he's been like turning over the ball a whole lot. And ultimately, it comes back on you. We can say who you are and what you are. You're not making the right decisions. You're not throwing the ball to the right places. Now, we can say it's your offensive coordinator that you had, that was a defensive coordinator, et cetera, or whatever. But ultimately, you haven't been very good. And when you look at Sam Darnold, he can be the best thrower in 49ers history all he wants. But he has to go out there when the live ball is flying and make plays and make those throws. And so far, he's been very hit and miss. Very hit and miss. Now, and I've always, Geno Smith, right? Geno Smith and we were rookies at the same time with the Jets. And I saw a version of Geno Smith that was drastically different than the version of Geno Smith that played last year for the Seattle Seahawks. The Geno Smith that I saw with the Jets was a guy who was very in over his head, had a lot going on, the stress of everything, thought he's going to be taken first round, ended up going second round, learning how to play, maybe a little immature, right? More worried about flying girls in and out than maybe, focusing on the playbook, etc., right? I mean, there's a lot of distractions trying to figure it out. That version of him is drastically different than the version that we see now, who's the consummate pro, just played his best year of football. Matter of fact, if you just swap any 49ers quarterback with Geno Smith and Geno has those same numbers, that's one of the best seasons in 49ers history at the quarterback position. All right. So it can be done. I ain't counting Sam Darnold out, but so far what we've seen with the sample size we have is it hasn't been great. So he can be the best thrower of the football. You got to do it when the live bullets are flying.
Okay. What does that term mean? What does it mean to be the best thrower of a football? I can't stand there because there's so many different ways that you can be good at throwing football. A wildly accurate quarterback, Drew Brees, doesn't have a cannon arm. They way better of the football than somebody like Jamarcus Russell.
My bad, Shunda Boy. I'll bring you back on. It kind of sounded like you were in the Matrix a little bit. And I was trying to piece together things that you were saying. We're going, They said you got the AOL dial up internet right now. So we're just gonna wait like a couple minutes, and I'm gonna bring you back on. All right.
I
But I will answer his question. Or you want to go? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Real quick. Somebody said this real quick. Always the same people they're calling on the show. Hey, then call in. See, look, and I'm not saying that he's complaining, but that's my thing, right? Where it's like we want to say something. Oh, okay, this. Well, what are you gonna do about it? So come on live, right? Like the chat's in there for everybody to come on. So that's one of my thing. But go ahead.
Yeah, so while he gets a chance to kind of get his connection back up right, and then he can come back in and ask the full brevity of the question before he answer. I did have a comment that I've been kind of thinking about it and looking at all your breakdowns of all the rookie breakdowns, and then also too, who was the running back that the Seahawks drafted?
Zach Charbonnet.
Yes, and I really like his game. He really has that ability to be kind of a receiving threat, everything like that. And I'm basically trying to, and I sent this to you, but I was asking, if you could get like some kind of like drawing tablet or something like that, so it kind of helps with your breakdown, so you can kind of draw or write, those big yellow lines whenever plays are breaking down and everything else. But one of the things I was thinking about was, what's kind of the difference between like a cover 2, cover 3, and then like the Tampa Bay kind of like 2, as far as like zone coverage goes. Because I think that with our safeties, I think it's impossible for us to actually just play cover 2, because it seems like we have to play like at least like a cover 3 or a Tampa 2. And then also too, now with the new weapons that Geno Smith has, are we going to have a lot more difficulty of a problem guarding a guy or preventing a guy like Charbonnet from catching it out in the flat when we have all these receivers that can really attack a lot of seams that we have in these zone coverages?
So as far as coverages and maybe what's best suited for the 49ers, I think anything too high. So you're going to have your quarters defense. You're going to have your cover 2. You're going to have, your, like you said, your Tampa 2, which I think that's just more of the middle linebacker kind of dropping a little bit deeper than you have 2 guys with deep halves. And it probably would help if I can kind of draw this stuff up for y'all. But I'm not even the most like schematic person, to be honest. I'm more of like a technical thing, and I could, skill set translate how that translates to the league. But as far as 49, like, your cover 3 is more of a single high, and they can do that, but then now you need a single high safety that has really good range. And that's why when you think of Earl Thomas, right, how good he was and how popular that single high scheme was, with him during that time, that Seattle 3, and he was going sideline to sideline, and he was doing a really good job, but not just sideline to sideline. He had a beat on everything. So if you have a guy that's very instinctive, cool, but also the one thing that made him really good, man, he was fast as hell. Now, I want to say Ed Reed wasn't that fast. Hold on. Ed Reed combine. At the combine, because again, there is a difference between football speed and all the other stuff. But Ed Reed, here we go. Hold on. He was the first round pick, I believe. Where's Miami? I'm finding. Nope, Philip Buchanan went. What the heck is Ed Reed at?
So I think I saw something, because you said Jair Brown ran like a 4.57, and then in the comments I'm seeing that Ed Reed ran a 4.57.
Right.
And somebody's saying like somebody's asked this question. Top end speed doesn't matter that much if you have football IQ and instincts. But then another person said slowest safeties in the league. I hope he can be in position. There's a lot of Tyreek Waddle types, and it's a matchup nightmare for 2 safeties that run like a 4.7. Like if it was supposed to be Brown and Hufanga out there. But then someone else said this, another conflicting comment. Someone said, Brown was clocked in game at reaching 21 miles per hour with pads on 40 times on one particular day, or deceiving. Dude can move. Don't worry about speed. So I guess that's my question is, what is the difference between, like, because we say these 40 times, but honestly, and I've always felt like whether I was playing basketball or an actual sport, like if I'm out there and I'm chasing the ball, or if I'm doing something like that, I do feel like I am just moving so much faster and I can run something down. But if I were to just be there in the 40, I don't know what it would be. It just doesn't seem like I move as fast. Some days I feel great, some days I don't. But what do you think is more important, a 40 time or something where, hey, the GPS is on the player and then we're seeing that movement speed kind of going?
All right, well, I'll answer that 1 second. Let me definitely clarify this real quick. Jair Brown at the combine, in comparison to Ed Reed at the combine, the 40 times are different.
Okay.
Right. Like, so Ed Reed at the combine ran a 4.57. Jair Brown at the combine ran a 4.65. All right. And then Jair Brown went to his pro day and ran faster. Now, is it accurate? Is it, those are things you don't know. And that's why it's easier to just say combine time, this is what he ran, 4.65, 4.57. And there's a difference there. As far as field speed, like game speed, playing fast, there are guys, my experience in the NFL, right? I talk about it a lot. In the NFL, I was thinking a lot. So I was already a 4.55 type guy. And then on top of that, I'm thinking. So when you're thinking, you're not going to play as fast. Guys that have a beat on things and understand how to play like ahead of the snap, right? Like there's this play where Ed Reed talks about, he has Peyton Manning out there. And he knew if he gave Peyton Manning a certain look and a certain alignment, where Peyton Manning was going to throw. So he kind of went one way and then looped around and went and chased the ball down, right? When you know exactly what you're doing and how, like, you're just going to play so much faster. You're going to play so much faster. You still play to your 4.57 speed, but you maximize that. You see what I'm saying? So there's scenarios where with Jair Brown, where, okay, not the fastest of guys. If he has a beat on things, it looks great. If you just see him get in a foot race with somebody that has speed, it will not look great. All right. So I watched him, and I should bring up, because I obviously have the YouTube breakdown, but like the running back from Ohio State burst up the middle, cut to the left, and just outran him. Jair Brown had an angle. He was a single high safety. He had an angle, and he just got outran to the end zone. That's where you see the speed show up, where it's just like, this guy is just faster than you, right? But as far as being able to make a play and you're not as fast, you can do that. Now, there are certain things where guys that are fast that they can do that a guy that's slower just can't do. He can't do those same things. And a good team like the 49ers understand how to use guys to maximize their skill set. So the 49ers, ideally, with a Jair Brown out there, are not going to put him in a whole lot of positions to where he's going to be very vulnerable in the lack of just elite top end speed, or I don't even want to say elite, but the 4.65 speed is going to, oh man, like you're going to see it now, right? They do a good job of kind of disguising that type of stuff. So, as long as you go to a team that understands how to utilize you to the best of whatever your ability is, then your speed shouldn't be that much of an issue. But it does kind of change some of the things that you can do. With Jimmy Ward, you can really do everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing on defense. Now, is Jimmy Ward going to make the play? So there's a trade-off there, right? Jimmy Ward, not as much of a playmaker. At least at the NFL level as Jair Brown was at the collegiate level. We'll see if that translates, right? But Talanoa Hufanga, Tayshaun Gibson, not the most athletic guy. 32 career interceptions, right? So as long as you kind of play within what you do well, you're not going to ask Jair Brown to do the same things you ask Jimmy Ward to do, because Jimmy Ward's just more athletic, faster, whatever. But that doesn't mean that this guy's going to make more plays, because if you're smart and you have it up here, then you can still do those things. So,
absolutely.
Hold on, I got a super chat here. He says, I believe safety speed is overthinking it. I haven't heard any issues with him in coverage up there in Baltimore.
Referring to Ed Reed. Ed Reed.
Yeah. So again, speed is, I want to clarify this real quick. And it depends on the position. But speed is a real thing. Like the 40-yard dash, it just changes how they have to use you. That's all. So it doesn't mean that you're going to be bad. There's probably certain things that Baltimore was just like, we're not going to do these things with Ed Reed, but we're going to let Ed Reed do this because he's great at this Hall of Fame level. He does this at a Hall of Fame level, and we're going to let him live by, like, you go do those things. And there might have been things where they're like, man, I wish we could do more of this, but that's not quite Ed Reed's skill set, but he's amazing at this. So you do that. And that's when it's like, okay, the speed can be, quote unquote, overrated.
So Eddie V, It's about like 6 comments up from that super chat. He had something that was pretty a good question. I kind of want to elaborate on it too. But he said, how often is a safety using straight line speed in a game? If they are in the right position, it's usually not an issue. Correct me if I'm wrong, Croc. And the question I wanted to add on to that, and this is kind of like where I wish you had that ability to put on like a nice little um, background of maybe like a field, and then you're kind of going through the X's and O's, because you're talking about like we need to be able to play in quarters. So if the deep half of the field, I don't know if I'm speaking this correctly, and then it's divided by the corner, free safety, strong safety, and then the other corner.
Correct.
So is how much of that is an issue, because we do run a lot of, like, I want to say Tampa 2 or cover 3 or quarters, correct? So
the quarters thing, right? When it comes to speed, the toughest thing, right? Okay, did you watch my Ronnie Bell breakdown? Did you
yes,
see
I did. That was
the
brutal.
catches
Yeah.
that he had on the TCU
Yes.
guys?
Yes, that was like
The
his 2 good
vertically
plays.
downfield.
Yes.
Well, quarters, you can get caught with a receiver running full speed at you with a two-way go as a safety. You got to match with that vertically pushing receiver, and you can
Because
get
eventually it turns from zone to man
pretty
coverage,
much man.
correct? And okay.
Most zones go from zone to man after a certain, like as a, let's say, nickelback, right? Like I teach my nickels, you have to carry the second guy through your zone. All right. So essentially they kind of all kind of like eventually turn into some type of man. But as far as quarters go, it's almost like a two-man game with the safety and the quarterback corner, depending on how they play it. But at some point, that safety is going to have to carry that vertically pushing route, and you can put a safety in a very vulnerable position, and you got to be able to have the feet and be able to break on that. And we saw Hufunga be very aggressive with that, right? And there's sometimes where he got beat, and there's sometimes when he made plays, and you kind of got to live with both sides of that. Another example of this, if you guys can remember this game, I don't even know if anybody kind of maybe blocked it out of their memory, but 49ers against Green Bay Packers, when the 49ers, all the receivers sat because the COVID whole thing, Richie James went off, right? He had 160 yards touchdown.
Yes.
Remember on when the 49ers were on defense, Valdez Scantling scored a touchdown on Marcel, the safety with the dreads, number 36.
I can't remember, but
From
yeah.
Florida, he had towards Achilles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyways, he got him, and it was like, it's me versus you, because you have to carry me vertically. And he just gave him a boop, boop, and just went right by him, right? And you start to see Marcel Harris. There we go. Shout out to Jeep Crack Hawk in the chat. So Marcel Harris, and it's just sometimes you get put in that vulnerable position, and whether it's the instincts, if you have enough instincts, you'd be like, well, hey, the way he's coming at me, I think he's going for it. I'm just gonna run with that. And you run with that, and you're right. The speed doesn't look like an issue. But for a lot of guys that aren't as fast, if you take one step this way or that way, and it might be the wrong way, it's extremely difficult for you to recover if you don't have that type of speed. So that's kind of an area where sometimes you see those things kind of come up. The speed, it reminds me of the quarterback position with having a big arm. And I always say it, you don't need a big arm until you need a big arm. Right? You don't need on every down, and that's why. So we can say this with safeties, right? Every down, you might not need to run a 4-5 flat, but there might be a play where it's like, I wish I ran a 4-5 on this play. And that's same with quarterbacks, where you don't have to have a bazooka cannon of an arm like Josh Allen or something, but there's gonna be certain throws where, man, if I had a bigger arm, I would have made this throw, or if I had a bigger arm, it wouldn't have hung up there. And that might only be 10% of the time in the game, where you either attempt to throw, where it's like, I probably can't make this throw, I shouldn't be attempting it, or you just shy away from attempting it because you don't have that type of arm, and you just, I'm just going to throw this pass instead. So the speed, it can be a little overrated as safety, and you kind of need it till you don't need it. All right, real quick, let me get to this chat right here. We got speaking on Kyle Hamilton, who ran a 4.59. So Hamilton ran a 4.59 at the combine, then ran actually slower at his pro day, which was wild, like 4.7. And a lot of people were worried about that. But I bet he was speaking on, instead of he was speaking on Hamilton, not Ed Reed. When I was like, is he talking about
yes,
with safety? So Hamilton, but watch how they utilize Hamilton. Like what do they ask Kyle Hamilton to do? And he's a guy that has the range. He has the instincts. He has all those things. Now I watch him. I remember coming out and I evaluate him. He was at 2 high safety, and next thing you know, on 4th and 2, he's making a tackle behind the line of scrimmage. All right. So very instinctual. I would be interested to just watch an entire Baltimore game and see, like, how do they use Kyle Hamilton? And I bet they're not asking him to do a whole lot of things that are outside of what he traditionally does well. All right, here we go. My biggest concern with Tig Brown is tackling. I don't worry about his tackling as much because guys, I don't want to take the aggressiveness away from him. I think he's very aggressive. He flies around. He's going to make plays. I think that's how he makes his big plays, right? He's like just ends up being in the right position because he flies around. And there are times where, and we saw it on my breakdown, just missed tackles. I don't know if he closed his eyes and just whiffed, right? Like Hufanga, who can miss tackles here and there as well. I'll have the missed tackle or so a game if you're going to force a fumble, get an interception, recover a punt because you're always on this right in the right spot, right place, and you return it for a touchdown in the divisional round playoff game against the Green Bay Packers. So I definitely understand like just watching the guy miss tackles, but what's the trade-off? Now you're missing tackles and you don't make plays, we got an issue, right? But okay, you missed some tackles, but man, this dude, man, came through in the clutch here. Man, big hit here. Man, good tackle here. Oh, missed a tackle. Oh, interception here. I'll take that. I'll take that. I want to bring Shunder Boy back on. It looks like he's good. And then we got Mosquito Killer. He's going to come on as well in a few minutes. But Shunder Boy, what's good, man?
What's good? Is this any better?
Yeah.
I had to get off the 4G and get on the 5G back into the 21st century.
They said you had the AOL dial-up.
So I put in the comments in the backstage that, in my opinion, this is one of the reasons that I try not to get overly caught up in athleticism is because I feel like a fast mind can overcome average speed better than fast feet can overcome an average mind. If you're not in the right place, it really doesn't matter how fast you are because everybody's fast, at least fast enough. So being in the right place, being where you're supposed to be, having clean eyes, not getting caught up looking in the backfield while a guy's running by you. Those things show up on tape, and those are the things that really make people successful in the NFL significantly more than running a 4.35. So I don't understand. It troubles me when people get so caught up and enamored with a guy that runs 4.35 but has bad film. So I look at who actually can play the position first. And then do you have, like I've said before, you have to have minimum thresholds. You can't be running 4.9 and playing wide receiver. I don't care how skilled you are.
So do you know why what is the importance of a 40-yard dash?
Yes.
Ultimately, if you like the player, you like the player. It's just going to cost you money, typically. Yeah. So sometimes they don't care. Like we saw with Kyle Hamilton, who ran a 4.59, then ended up going to run a 4.7. And it's like, we're still going to take him top 15, right? But a lot of times it's just, where can we take you? Do we got to draft you? Or can we just maybe go undrafted? Or do we have to draft you high? The faster and more athletic you are, the higher you are on the relative athletic score. A lot of times, if the film already matches and then the speed and the high-end talent, those guys go very high, and we got to pay you more. If Minka Fitzpatrick went out there and ran a 4.66, he would not have gone number 11 or 12 overall. He would have went second, third round. We don't got to pay you as much, but we still like the player. We still like everything you did. We just don't have to pay you as much. So even with Jair Brown, they like the player regardless of the speed that he ran, but there is a times where it just might show up, and they know that. And they're going to try to figure out, hey, can we get by with whatever Jair Brown ran? Or are we going to have to potentially invest a little bit more in a safety that just has more speed and range? And there's
I've seen several clips where people have interviewed both coaches and general managers and scouts and stuff like that, like the scouting combines and stuff. And every single time I've seen somebody ask the question, what are you looking for with the 40 and stuff like that? I've never seen somebody say something other than the 10-yard or 20-yard split. I've never seen somebody say, well, I just want to see how low that time can be, ever. It's all about the explosiveness. How fast can you get off? How fast are you in a 10-yard and 20-yard split is significantly more important than how fast you can get to 40 yards.
Right, and I think they're keeping track of the GPS a lot more now as well. Which
an acceleration. The shirts that they wear now actually have something in them that tells you like what their G forces are, their acceleration. It tells you how stable their upper body is while they're running, because that's huge, especially for wide receivers. You know this as a corner, I imagine. If you can't be stable and balanced while you're running, you're going to get lost real quick if somebody puts a move on you. You have to be able to be stable while you're running that fast.
Right, and that's the little broad things too, like that you see them training, and those collect a lot of that data as well. Real quick, says Talanoa Hufanga ran 4.7, but plays with his hair on fire. He ran 4.61. Now he ran 4.61 at a pro day, and he slimmed down a lot for that too. So that's as fast as he's probably going to be playing at. I think he ran at 201 pounds, and I don't think he plays at 201. So that's something interesting right there. But
can we circle around to the arm talent?
The arm talent, yeah. Go ahead, yeah.
So what I was trying to kind of get at is, people talk about arm talent, right? And you have of course, everybody wants to look at the poster child of Patrick Mahomes throwing laser beams while he's laying sideways 6 inches off the ground and still hits a guy in a face mask. Literally impossible throws. I said that at the time. I was like, that throw's not possible. I don't know why it worked. He broke the laws of physics when he did that. And so when you look at arm talent, Darnold certainly makes some special throws, right? But when it comes to arm strength, he doesn't throw it as hard as Kaepernick. And it's honestly not that close. Kaepernick has probably top 5 strongest arm in the NFL ever. His velocity on a ball to an out route or a deep dig and stuff like that, like you were saying, he threw frozen ropes that traveled 40 yards.
Yeah,
absolutely insane. Almost nobody can throw the football like that. He just lacked touch and anticipation. That's really the only thing that prevented him from taking the next step. Then you look at a guy like I mentioned, Breeze, right? He's got all the touch, anticipation, everything else, but can't drive the ball 35 yards in an out route or what to the opposite hash, things like that. When you look at somebody like Montana, he didn't lack in anything. People act like he didn't have a good arm. The dude go back and watch the early 80s from 79 to 1988, like his first 10 years in the league, before he got pummeled, had his back broken, had his arm almost taken off, right? Go back and look at Joe Montana in those earlier years. He was absolutely slinging the ball. Out route, deep shots, everything. And his anticipation, touch, and timing were as good as anybody with the maybe exception of Tom Brady. So to say that Sam Darnold, there's not a single element that Sam Darnold has that's actually significantly better than Montana. And Montana is significantly better in several areas. So it's to me, what that comes off as is he was in the hallways talking to somebody, and a scout or a coach or something like that was like, man, I don't think we've ever seen this kind of arm talent in this building, or some kind of off comment. Matt Mayoko took that and ran with it. And I guarantee you the person that said that wasn't in the building when Montana was.
Right.
I think we lose our memories, man. We lose a little of the history. People forget.
Well, I was young too, so I mean, we were talking about Joe
Me too.
Montana. When he leaving? 91, 92?
Yeah. Well, 93 was his first year with the AFC when he took the Kansas City Chiefs to the AFC Championship in 93.
All right. I was like 6 years old. So it's like,
yeah.
7 years old, like that. I'm born in 87. So I wasn't, we're talking about what kind of arm he has. I've seen highlights, film videos, but it's not like I grew up with him. I saw more of Steve Young than anything I saw from.
Yeah, Steve Young was my guy.
So
I love Steve Young.
But Gammon, Chunky Boy, man, I appreciate y'all coming on. I'm gonna get to Mosquito Killer then, and then we're gonna get out of here. Oh, go ahead, Gammon. You got something?
All right. One quick question is first a statement. I think that, and this is sad to say, but because of our offensive line, I still think Philadelphia would have beat the 49ers even if we had Brock Purdy. Number two thing, and this is a question for you, Croc. Do you think that we should go after a player like Marcus Peters? And do you think then moving Diamador Lenore to the nickel would be an upgrade over Oliver? And is Oliver an upgrade over Ward? Thank you.
Good questions. All right, hold on. I gotta repeat them like back in my head. So start with the first question, then we answer them one at a time.
Okay, so first was our offensive line. Even if Brock Purdy wouldn't have been injured, I still think that defensive line for the Eagles would have overpowered our offensive line, and we still would have lost that game. Sad to say, and I just don't see us addressing that offensive line still. So I still see that as an issue in the NFC West playoffs.
Gotcha. Okay.
The next question is, what are your thoughts on acquiring a talent like Marcus Peters, putting him on the outside, moving Diamador Lenore to nickel? And then how would you rank it? Would you say Diamador Lenore is greater than Oliver, greater than Ward, or is Ward better than Oliver, but Diamador Lenore is better than Ward, or how do you see that playing?
I would say this. Marcus Peters, he's another guy. And I feel like the 49ers have done a really good job of kind of building their secondary right now around guys who just make plays. And Marcus Peters is that as well. Before we even get into like signing Marcus Peters, I think for the 49ers, you got to identify, is this a Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch type guy? And I think just the personality of Peters, I don't know if it fits Lynch and Shanahan, just with how they are. So Eric Crocker, he can play for me all day, right? But with how they are, it almost feels like they'll be a little reluctant to take on that type of personality. Now, they did bring on Josh Norman. So maybe in a dire situation where it's like, we got to go do something, they'll make a move for a guy like Marcus Peters. But I think right now, heading into the season, I think they have just the guys that they like, in that it's like, all right, we're going to see what we have with this group. A la like they did 2019 with the receivers, where it was like, we got Kendrick Bourne, we got, all these other guys. You drafted Deebo Samuel, you got Marquise Goodwin. We're going to see what it looks like. I need a little help. Okay, let's trade for Emmanuel Sanders. So I think with this cornerback group they have right now, we like Travis Ward. We've had Ambry Thomas and Diamador Lenore start a lot of games for us. We signed Isaiah Oliver. We got Samuel Womack. He's entering year 2. You drafted the guy, Darrell Luther. We're going to see what we have with these young groups. And if they just can't hack it, then, all right, we got to figure something out. Let's go get a Marcus Peters.
Right. And before I get killed in the comments, I do think that the 49ers would have put up a lot more points. It would have been a closer game instead of the absolute blowout that it was. I just don't see McGlinchey progressively getting better throughout the game. I mean, the game before that against Michael Parsons, his butt got tossed like an empty box of chicken nuggets. So I just don't see him getting like any better playing pass protecting for Brock Purdy at the end of that. I think that players and teams can make adjustments. I just think that at the end of the day, he's too flat-footed, too heavy-footed to have combated that speed and all the other things that are going on. Thank you for your time, Crock.
All right, appreciate you coming on. All right, here we go. Last but not least, we got my guy, Mosquito Killer. Clap it up for our guy, Mosquito Killer.
What's going on, Crock? What's going on, man? How you been?
I'm good. I had a nice weekend, relaxing, and back to the grind.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Hey, I want to first start off by saying, man, I know when you start off the show, stuff like that, you start talking about you were talking about basketball, stuff like that, as a Warrior fan thing. I enjoy the back and forthness, even though you go on. So I know this is more like a 49er talk show and stuff like that, but I do enjoy when you go off topic, man. Hey, as long as it ain't political, like at this point right now,
right?
Hey, talk what you need to talk about, man. I enjoy you. You're so real. So I enjoy your comments. I enjoy your back and forth. I enjoy all the stuff you spit out. So
thank you. And I want everybody to know that's not from a place of when I talk about the Warriors, because I think there are a lot of people that get so caught up in what they view as maybe a rivalry, or these teams are playing against each other right now, so you got to hate this team and whatever. And it's like,
yeah,
well, I don't hate I really don't care about the Warriors.
No,
in fact,
I know you
don't
don't.
even know Warriors now. I'm not someone that grew up in the Bay Area. All right.
Yeah.
I did live in San Jose for years. My family's all from San Jose, East Side, by Eastridge Mall, Tully and White Road. So, you know,
Mm.
I lived for a lot of years. I went to elementary school at Cedar Grove over there. You know, my big brother went to Mount Pleasant. My mom went to Mount Pleasant. My dad went to Mount Pleasant High School in San Jose. So I got a lot of ties to San Jose. But I
Okay.
grew up in Stockton, and I didn't grow up
Okay. Yeah.
around
Yeah.
people that said, "Oh, I'm a Warrior fan." You know what I'm saying? Like that's just
Mm.
not something I really
Yeah.
heard. So I remember the We
Yeah.
Believe, and it was like, man, like okay, they got to kind of crack it a little bit. And then
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't really hear much after that. And then it was once the Curry and them started cooking, it's like, oh man, like Warriors got a strong fan base, which you know I didn't know. So I
Yeah.
didn't grow up thinking, oh, this is a rivalry between the Lakers and Warriors. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No,
now
it wasn't.
when the way I see it is just, man, I'm just watching the game, and I'll troll
Yeah.
people on Twitter because they come at me, but and now you know our teams are playing against each other, so it's just kind of fun. But when I come on here, I'm gonna talk that real, and what I'm seeing is there's like a certain level of accountability that's not being held when it comes to the Warriors, and you got to control what you can
Yeah.
control and not play into all these things and not play the
I
lazy
agree.
defense and not do those things. And that's just now. Warrior fans are gonna tell me, Crock, stick to football. You're just letting us know every day. You don't know anything about basketball. It's like, dude, I grew up. Like, if you ask my mom right now, you know what sports she thought I would play growing up, she'd be like, oh, I would have thought you're going to the NBA. You know, like that's what my
Yeah.
mom
Yeah.
thought. So
Yeah. No, I got
they
you. I
make it
got you.
seem like if you don't, you know, if it's anything that they disagree with.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, somebody disagreed because they're like, "How are you?" And here we go. I saw somebody say this. Well, I started in the chat. Hold
I
on.
guess the Laker fan and a 49er fan.
Well, how are you basically from NorCal and you're a Laker fan? I'll
Yeah.
say this, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
I don't think because of where you're from, that's you got to be a fan of that team. Every
Yeah.
team that I'm a fan of, right? I love my Giants, love my 49ers,
Mm.
love my Lakers. It just happened that way. My
Mm.
dad did work on Barry Bonds' house when I was a little kid. Barry Bonds
Mm.
signed a baseball for me and a picture. From that moment, I became a Giants fan because
Yeah.
because Barry Bonds gave me the ball in the picture. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna root for
Yeah.
that guy. And I watched him on TV, and I was always able to look at that ball and that picture that he signed for me. That's how I became a fan of the San Francisco Giants. I mean, you see
Yeah.
the hat.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
The 49ers. My mom, I asked my mom, you know, dad wasn't around at this time. Mom, who's your favorite football team? She was like, oh, 49ers. That's how I became a 49er fan. It didn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with where I lived or where I grew up. My mom was a
Yeah.
49er fan, so I became a 49er fan. The Lakers,
Yeah.
I wanted to be like my uncle. All right.
Yeah.
And we talking about the 90s right now, right? So we talking about early 90s. I wanted to be like my uncle. He was the cool guy, had the girls, all the stuff, you know, played football.
Mm.
And I asked him, like, hey, uncle, who's your favorite basketball team? He was like, Lakers. All right, I'm a Laker fan. So that's
Yeah.
how, if anybody's wondering how there's NorCal Laker fans, you just never know. My son is a Warrior fan. He grew up in the
Okay.
Steph
There you
Curry
go.
era. You know what I'm saying? He grew
Yeah.
up in the Steph Curry era. He wants to be like Steph Curry. He's a Warrior
Yeah.
fan. He's from Stockton. He's not from the Bay. So I don't know. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird. Somebody called me a weirdo on Twitter because I'm a
It's not
Laker
weird.
fan from
I got
NorCal. And I'm
family,
like,
man. This all over the map. The only reason why, like, man, I became a Warrior fan only like my family did not watch basketball. Did not watch basketball at all. And so like when I was in middle school, I started hanging out with my boy. Me and my boy like was playing basketball all the time, and he started getting me into the We Believe Warriors, and so next thing you know, I became a Warrior fan. My dad growing up, Oakland A's fan was originally thing like, and I just finally like linked on to Barry Bonds. I was coming home. I remember rushing home, trying to watch him set those records of the home run records with Mark McGuire
yeah.
yeah, and they were doing that, so I became a Giants fan. I just switched over. I just became, but I still stayed 49ers because my dad was a 49er fan. I
Right, and
think
right
growing
here
up.
we got my guy Antonio Seabrook in the chat, and he says, "I'm a diehard 49ers from Charleston, South Carolina." So what?
There you
And I get part of it because maybe they didn't have a team when you're growing up, but even then, it doesn't matter, right? He chose a
Yeah,
team all the way across the country because he grew up. He liked something about that team. And when I go to these games, and you see them in the fans at the tailgate when I'm in Atlanta or I'm in Dallas or I'm where they got all these chapters. Man, they got Mississippi chapters. They got Arkansas chapters. They got Dallas
yeah,
chapters. They got all these fans from all over that are
yeah,
49er fans, and they are diehard, and they are. I mean, I think I'm a big 49er fan. Man, I go to these games and it's a reality check. Like, Crock, you ain't as big a 49er fan as you think. But these people are die-hard fans, and they be from
Yeah.
all over, all over. So for
Yeah.
Warrior fans to get mad because a Stockton kid is a fan of the Lakers,
Yeah. No.
it's really just
I love it. I love it because you play into it though. I
I
love
do,
it
yeah.
because I really do. I'll be watching you like as soon as you put that little meme in the background, the guy smoking thing, and I'm like, yo, he already started. He
Yeah.
already started.
Yeah, and I just have
So
fun with it. I have fun with it. They take
yeah,
it a little
yeah,
far, but I just have fun with it.
yeah.
Then
No,
they get me
I know
turned
you do.
up, you know. Yeah. But
Yeah,
anyways, I know
but
you didn't come on
yeah.
to talk about that, but go ahead.
No, it's all good. Actually, really, like I really actually kind of did, but
Oh, okay, cool.
I partly did really come on just to do about that because I want to let you know that there are people out there, man, that really do. Like I know you do get some of the negative comments sometimes, and I know that can mess with your psyche a little, but
Yeah.
I wanted to let you know, no, we're out here, man. We do support and love you and love the content, regardless of whether it's 49ers or not. Like we're out here,
Oh man,
supporting you.
that's a good take right there, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
It-
thing.
it's refreshing to hear that because I think we get so consumed. First of all, it's the off season right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's like, what the
yeah,
hell else we gonna talk about? But
yeah.
I just love talking sports. I just want to talk
Thank
about
you.
sports,
Thank
and
you.
I
Thank
think
you.
that sports really, in the way that I train a lot of my athletes and my kids, uh, I feel like a lot of the lessons that we learn through sports are really lessons
Mhm.
that you can carry over to your everyday life.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of lessons from the fans and how they view things. And I'm like, I can probably tell how you view life,
Yeah.
just with how you view sports. And I talked about earlier today, I work out. I've been doing CrossFit for almost 4 months, however long it's been.
Yeah.
And even prior to that, like we'll say 10 plus years, I
Yeah.
do not sit down during a workout. Unless it's like,
Okay.
oh, you got bench press. Okay, you sit down, you do your
Yeah.
bench press or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
if I'm working out or I'm fatigued, like I am standing up. I'll stand up, I'll walk around, like I'm not gonna bend over. And it's just something where for me, I've kind of trained my psyche that way, that my mental that way,
Yeah.
where when you feel like you can't give any more, you can't push, I'm not gonna let anybody know I'm fatigued or I'm tired. Like I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
coming. And I carry that mindset over to everything I do in life. And
And
so it's not just about like the workout or the sport or whatever. It's about how these things have kind of shaped me in the way that I view things and the things I'm able to do that a lot of people count out and say, oh, you can't do that, or they don't think you can.
yeah.
And it's like, no, I can. You feel me? So uh,
No, and
I,
I got to give it up to you because I think the last time I can't remember whether I was on or I was like I commented or something like that, and he was talking about your 72-hour fasting and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, how are you doing that? Well, because of you and because of that, now I actually do intermittent fasting. Now I'm down
oh,
10 pounds
nice.
within a month. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
I haven't done a 72-hour one yet. That's a grind. That is a grind. But
It's all
I do
mental.
24-hour fasts and stuff like that now, and I'm up to 2 days a week of doing that now. So
Oh, nice.
dude, it helps. Like you feel so good now. Like, man, I don't think people realize like how good you feel. Like it hurts to be hungry, but the feeling like you just feel better like inside.
I try to challenge myself, and I said it this morning, right? Like, doing CrossFit, I'm about to do the Murph for the first time, and it's like this,
Mm.
maybe the more popular workout you do on Memorial Day every year, and it's like this grueling. It's like you run a mile, then you got like 100 pull-ups, 200 sit-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, something crazy. Then you finish with a mile. It's something crazy like that. It takes a long time to finish it, and somebody like, man, I would never do it, and it's like, well. I actually enjoy doing the things I hate doing the most. So if it's
Okay,
something that
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like, how am I supposed to do this, or how am I going to do this, or I have to do it. It's almost like, okay, well, this is a challenge now. Like I'm
okay,
sitting there,
yeah,
and everybody, in the CrossFit, gym, they just tell me about how hard it is, and it's like the more you tell me about how hard it is, the more anxious I get to do it. Like I want,
yeah,
like, okay, I want a piece of this. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
oh no, that's just yeah. I hope everybody when it comes to even fasting, you know, I'll do my fast 48 hours, 72 hours, and people be like, man, I can never do that. And it's like, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You can do it.
That's what you said to me.
It's
That's
just,
what you said to me.
yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, and I did it, and I listened to you, man. And I did it. Like I did. Like I said, I ain't made it all the way up to like the 48, 72 yet, but I started doing like I'm taking it slow, like just one step at a time.
Yep. Well,
So
all
I
right,
just wanted to
Mosquito
let you
Killer.
know, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate that. I appreciate the love, man. Thanks for coming on.
yeah, no problem. All right.
That was fun. That was fun. That was fun. I appreciate Mosquito Killer and the kind words, man. And I have a really good time coming on here with y'all. It is fun to be able to interact with y'all and me be a Laker fan and Warrior fans. And I just want to talk sports. I want to talk sports. We got uh Mosquito Killer right here. He says Curry don't get the calls, man. Hey, one thing I watched the Lakers, and I'm not saying this every time. I don't want to act like this every single time, but when Curry drives to the basket, unless they have a clear shot at attempting a block, they'll just let them make the layup. So I think the way they see it is, look, we're gonna try. It's extremely difficult. Curry is that guy. We're gonna try to chase him off the 3-point line, and when he's driving to the basket, if we don't have a clear look at a block, let him make the layup, and we'll trade the 3 for 2. We'll trade that. Don't start that Lakers go to the basket more, because if you look at the stats, it's about even. Again, it's not even so much about, which they do go to the basket a lot. I mean, Lakers don't have shooters like that. They don't have shooters the way that the Warriors do. So just the Lakers are going to live more on drives or in the paint, just traditionally. But between drives, there are other ways to score 2-point field goals. And it doesn't have to be just a drive to the basket. Is mid-range shots, right? Anthony Davis lives in mid-range land. LeBron James takes a lot of mid-range shots. Austin Reeves, mid-range. D'Angelo Russell, he's going to get in there and take a lot of shots about 5 yards, 5 feet from the basket, right? So, it might not even just be a drive, but the Lakers kind of live in that little bubble. And then sometimes the 3-point numbers will get up there, but it's not anything consistent. Like, you'll never see the Lakers shoot 53s like we saw the Warriors doing game 1. All right, here we go. And we already answered this one here. But anyways, man, I appreciate everybody for coming into the chat. Hope y'all enjoyed the show, man. It is the off season. It's tough. It's tough to find a whole lot of in-depth storylines. But I said, look, this year, I'm going to do the off-season thing. We didn't do it last year. We're going to do it this year. We're going to keep it rolling into the season. We're going to touch on all the topics that's up right now with your San Francisco 49ers, including Sam Darnold being the greatest thrower ever in 49ers history. I appreciate everybody in the chat right now. Go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Check out those breakdowns I've done on some of the draft prospects and the undrafted guy coming up as well. We got Jair Brown, it's in there. We got Darrell Luther, it's in there. We got Ronnie Bell, it's in there. And I got another one coming up, big 6'4" receiver out of ECU. I appreciate all y'all. I love all y'all, and y'all have a great day. Don't make excuses for yourself, man. Just go out and do it, man. No excuses. Do something about it. They're talking about.